Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be middle grade 2022 releases that we can't wait for. Now, I do have to put a little disclaimer that I have not read all these books because they're coming out this year, so I haven't had a chance to read them yet. So I can't say that they are Tiffany the Happy Homeschooler approved, but I do think that they're all good. I haven't seen anything bad from these authors, and by bad I just mean to my standard. I have a pretty high standard of what I want my kids to read and what they're allowed to read and what I feel like is appropriate for middle graders. So all that being said, I do think these books are good, and a couple of them are by authors that I have read in the past, so I already know usually what their content's like, and I can say it's great. So here are the ones that are coming out this year, and I have read one on this list, and I'll get to that one in a minute, and it's great. These are all going to be in chronological order to make it easy for you to see what's coming out, February versus what's coming out in November, which is the last one listed. Okay, let's get started. The first one is Far to Go by Noel Streatfield. She's pretty famous for her books, The Ballet Shoes and The Dancing Shoes, and that whole shoes series. But this one also looked like another good, sweet book. I have requested to read it early. We'll see if I get approved, but I do really want to read this. Whether I get approved or not, I'm planning to read it as soon as it comes out. I'm very intrigued, and I think it'll be good. Far to Go by Noel Streatfield is due to be published March 8th. The next one is Isla to Island. And it's about a girl from Cuba in the 1960s who immigrates to the United States. And I think this will be really interesting. I'm excited that it's wordless and also a graphic novel because it just those pictures just evoke so much emotion. And again, I'm also hoping to get this one early and be able to provide some feedback about it. But I think this will be a really good book, and I love books that tell stories, and obviously this sounds like a good story. And wordless books, if they scare you, don't let them scare you. They can be so good because it really it makes you think more. It can really get your imagination going. And I think it's really fun to do it with kids, look at wordless books with children, because they can just go a whole different way with it. And you're like, oh, that's so interesting. The Isla to Island is going to be published March 15th. The next one I actually have read, and I really, really enjoyed it. This one I also got from NetGalley, which means I get to preview it and read it beforehand, which is awesome. It was called Louisa June and the Nazis and the Waves. It's about a little girl named Louisa June, and she is a fisherman's daughter. It's set on the coast on the East Coast, and it's obviously set at the very beginning of World War II. It covers a lot of topics like grief, mental health, even political differences, and a lot of just the things that were going on the very, very start of World War II in America. So I thought this book was really interesting. I think it's a great book to recommend for anybody interested in World War II, especially children, because it was from a child's perspective. And I just loved that. I think the book was excellent, and I would definitely recommend it. That one is being published March 22nd, and like I said, I'm ordering it. I'm probably going to pre-order it so that as soon as it's ready, I can get my own copy to share with my friends and family. The next one I'm really excited for is called Breathless by Amy McCulloch. It's coming out May 3rd. So Amy McCulloch also wrote the book that I recently talked about in one of my videos, but it's Jinxed. And that book was really fun. I really enjoyed it. It was very different from a lot of other books I've read. It's a STEM book. That's really what it's like. There's a lot of science and mechanics, and it was very fun. It was very interesting, right? So I liked that book, but this book I'm even more excited about. Breathless looks so good. It's like a murder mystery set up in the mountains. Everyone's climbing. I'm not sure how high they're climbing, but I am so excited for it because she actually went and did rock climbing, ice climbing, to prepare herself to be able to write this story well. And I was like, oh, that's amazing. As an author, I was just so impressed by her as an author that she would take the time, dedication to be like, I want to write this story, but I want it to be authentic and actually have the experience myself. So I don't think that there was a bunch of murders on her hike, but the actual the climb and what it was like living up in those conditions, she actually is going to be able to talk about from her own experience, which I think is awesome. And like I said, I liked her other books, so I'm thinking I'm going to really like Breathless too. This is, again, probably one I will pre-order, so I can get my hands on a copy ASAP. The next one is called The Vanishing Act by Laura Martin. Publication date is July 5th. I'm excited for this one because Laura Martin's written a lot of good books, and I've read several, and I know they're Tiffany approved. So unless something changed in this one, we should be good to go. It's actually the sequel to The Float, so if you've already read that, great! This is the sequel and it's coming out this summer, so you have to get your own copy. Anyway, that's another one we're really excited to read, and I will be rereading or listening to Float before The Vanishing Act comes out so that I'm just better prepared. I like to read book 1 before I read book 2, and I also like to read the book before I watch the movie, so that's kind of some of my plans. Before July 5th rolls around, I'll be doing that, and I'd love for you guys to join me. If you have not already subscribed, I make videos every week about homeschooling and books because I love them, and I'd love to have you guys join me for the next one, so don't forget to hit the subscribe button. The next one I'm really excited about is called The Last Beekeeper. It's set in the future, and there's been like a lot of climate things, so it's like a climate disaster, and this is a story. It's actually written by someone named Pablo Cartaya. I do not know this author, but I'm really excited to read this book because it just looks fascinating. So she is a young girl, and she is somehow gotten hold of, in charge of, has to save the last beehive in North America. And so this is going to be a story about that. Again, I haven't got to read this yet, but I put in my request. I'm hoping I get this book because it looks so good. So I'll definitely let you guys know. But keep an eye out for that book because I think it's going to be a good one. I'm really, really fascinated by it. I don't really like futuristic books, but this one looks like a really good one. The Last Beekeeper is due to be published July 12th. Okay, boom, boom, boom. If you don't already know, and you are a Keeper of the Lost Cities fan, and you'll know who you are because they seem to be pretty big fans. The next one in the series is book 9, Stellarlune. It's going to be published November 8th. And if you are interested in this book, you better get reading because it's number 9 and the books are like this big. I mean, they're massive. Whew. I highly recommend listening if you can. We bought one as an audiobook, but most of them actually my son wanted to just read because he does that faster than he listens. So there is the option. As a mom, I'm all about the listening portion. I'm not gonna lie. I think it's a little easier to get through, 25, 30-hour books if you can listen versus read. But if not, the books are awesome too. And if you need some reading material for the summer, there you go. I have a couple kids in my book club who basically read that this summer and then won prizes for how many books they read because there was a lot of pages in those books, let me tell you. So yeah, keep an eye out for Stellarlune. If you haven't already, mark it on your calendar. That is going to be a good one. And then they're making a TV series about it. That's going to be directed by Ben Affleck. So that one could be good. I can't say that I am super hopeful that it's perfectly clean and appropriate, but I do hope it is. That's what I'll say. I hope it is. And if it is, we will for sure be watching it. Okay, and last but not least, because this is my favorite author, Brandon Sanderson. He's supposed to be doing book 4 of the Skyward series, and it's supposed to come out this year, but there's no date yet. And I'm like, please let it be true. I need another Brandon Sanderson in my life. He's my favorite author, and I just really hope that I should say he's my favorite living author. Yeah, he's my favorite living author, and I really hope that his book gets published this year. If you haven't read his most recent series, the Skyward series, it's really, really good. My son normally doesn't enjoy books about pilots and other planets and sci-fi and space. Interestingly enough, because he does love fantasy, but just not that. So, not like science fiction. And this last series that Brandon Sanderson wrote, it's technically for young adult. It's not in the kids section, it's young adult. But they have been, up to this point, perfectly clean and totally appropriate for your children, I hope. My children, I guess. Totally appropriate for my kids. I've been happy to let my son read them. He has gobbled them up, and he was actually really happy because he said, if I hadn't known it was a Brandon Sanderson book, I would have read the back, read that it was about a pilot, and planets were involved in that, and he was like, and I wouldn't have liked it. I wouldn't have even read it or tried it out because I just thought that's not what I like. But because it was written by an author that he loves, he was like, I'm gonna give it a shot. And of course, as I knew would happen, he loved it because We love all of the books so far by Brandon Sanderson. Yeah, that is supposed to come out this year too. That's the last one. I hope this book list is helpful for you. Keep an eye out. There's a lot of good books coming out this year. I think there'll be more that are set to publish, but right now, the majority of the ones I mentioned are closer because they actually have the publication date. As the year goes on, like maybe halfway through the year, maybe July, August, I'll make another one of these videos with more upcoming books, and hopefully I will have had the opportunity to read more of them in advance to give you guys some early notice for books that you should be excited that are coming out this year. Thank you so much for watching. I can't wait to share more books with you next week, and I'll talk to you really soon.